Yeah, it's like you can't get close enough.
I know this will be a better view.
Oh, there we go.
See,
That's
Okay, we are live. I don't know if we have anybody else watching, but again, this is a very, very informal session. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be educational. I have Jennifer, I have Lisa joining, and you guys are doing your first show. This is excellent. This is exciting. And I tell you what, this is going to be a lot of fun, you guys.
I hope so. I'm completely nerve-wracked.
Should they be?
No.
Why not?
It's not that bad. Once you get into it, you'll be fine.
Okay.
This is your show, so just keep the ball rolling here.
No.
What are some of your main concerns? What are you worried about? When the show ends, what are you afraid you're going to go, oh my gosh, that was such a huge failure because we blank?
Oh my gosh. All of the above. That what are these people doing here? They have no idea what they're doing.
that we weren't ready. Yeah.
That her labels suck. It looks like she printed them off her home printer. It's not professional enough. You know, everything. I had a lot of family members. My grandfather was an importer-exporter, and he would always have like overstock stuff. So from a very young age, I would work at the swap meet with him, with my brother. But that's back in the days where it was like cash only. And, you know, now I'm like square reader. I haven't run anything through in person. And so I don't know what the pitfalls of that's going to be. I still have no idea what Nanette is talking about with electrical. Not a clue.
Okay.
What are we doing there?
We're going to come back to electrical. I'm just making some quick notes so that I don't forget these topics. But from a general standpoint, we're going to take 2 steps back. We're going to talk general kind of thoughts here. Have you ever been to a reptile show?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
when you walk in and you go from table to table to table, what are the things? Give me like 2 or 3 things that you observed that you might have said, oh my gosh, that was really cool. Or, oh my gosh, this table has no flipping clue what they're doing.
I'll let you go first.
I mean, I think we're probably drawn to, like, if someone has a banner and we're looking for something specific, you know, it tells us what they have at the booth. So those are the ones that we're going to go to probably first. I mean, that tells me a lot. And then, of course, you know, are the animals healthy? Of course. So we're going to look at that. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that would attract me first, because I usually go in and I know what I'm looking for. I have an idea. If I'm shopping for isopods, that's where I want to go. So I need something that's going to tell me that that's what they have.
And I got to tell you, that's hard. Most people that are not, let's say, isopod booth specific, they may have little tiny cups that we run over. Isopods, no, it's a tarantula. Oh, it's a jumping spider. So we have a hard time actually finding them, especially if there's a big crowd there. And usually the LA Super Show is huge. I can tell you a couple of things that I'm not drawn to. So I'm usually not drawn to a single layer of one row of deli cups. You know, I like heights and sizes, and I don't like the netting.
Yes,
Mm.
I'm such a huge non-fan of netting. I can't explain that more to people. And I get it all the time. Well, somebody's going to steal something. For the 10 people that go, this is cool because I can touch something. 100 people to maybe one that takes an animal, we'll deal with that. I think it's so important to get that contact, establish that hi, I'm just here to sell some isopods. You might be interested. Let's make a deal. And that netting, the acrylic boards, plastic over the deli cups is, to me, like Pink Floyd, they're building a wall.
It's not welcoming.
It's not welcoming. It's not, inviting the people, not just, it's hard enough having a table between you and not, shaking hands and welcoming people that way and being friends, because that's what you really want to do. The problem is that you have that table and now you're building up a wall, even further from that table. I see Faith in the stream, and I want to thank you, Jennifer and Lisa, as well, for opening this up to members. Thank you, Faith, for joining us. Faith has started shows just like the last 6 months, and she is just exploding. So, Faith, if you have some ideas here, just kind of jump in and type away. The single layer of deli cups, I know exactly what you mean. We tried to do some what do you call them?
They're
lifters.
wire racks. I got them at Target or whatever years ago, actually for scrapbooking, to lift my supplies up so I could use them.
I stole them from your scrapbooking?
You did. I gave them to you because I changed my process. I don't go anywhere anymore. They're just risers, and I bought black material at Walmart, and I cut it to go over them so that they don't see the wire piece.
Yeah,
and it covers it, and it looks neater. Plus, it gives you a place to tuck things underneath that you might need.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I don't like leaving my paper out. I don't like excess stuff. If it's not for sale, I don't want it on my table, pretty much.
So what do you put under that riser behind the curtain? What's behind the curtain, Monty?
Behind the curtain is my clipboard normally with my pen, a couple pens, my square little square pieces there. My phone normally sits right there. If I've got a can of soda and it's small enough, those get tucked in because I don't like that out in the middle of my table either. So for our table, sorry, there is an R here.
For me, I'm tucking my phone away because I want to grab the phone real quick. I don't want it in my pockets. I don't want it being bulky. Excuse me, but I'll grab the phone and I'll take some pictures. Nanette does such a wonderful job at these shows, and you guys can do the same thing. She'll grab the phone, and I'm talking to somebody, and I don't even realize she's doing this. And she's doing a quick video so that I can, if you've noticed, I post a lot of those where there's some interaction between us, and I guess it's me if you're doing the video, and a customer. And right. I just cherish those because it shows that we're, there to teach people. So I've got the phone, pens, stuff, business cards, things like that. For you guys, if you're just doing label, or if you're just doing, I suppose, maybe labels, maybe price, little stickers. Like if you get to a point where you get to the show and you have rubber duckies at $30 and everybody else has them at $10, and you've already printed out this pre-printed label, it's really super cool. You can grab a little sticker and put on, and we've done this a couple of times where it's just like, we're going to get cream today because everybody has leopard geckos and ours are twice as much. So I'll do sale today only, sale, and I'll do little stickers on a bunch of cups. So
I think about that. That's smart. Yeah, we were kind of thinking, I actually polled some friends and family, like, do you like price stickers on things or do you want them on a price list? And it was really 50-50.
Yes.
Of what people wanted. So we kind of thought we would do both.
Is that overkill?
Yeah, is it overkill or?
I do that with the food. All the food now I am not pricing anymore, and I just have a sheet that says how much the food is.
Okay.
That hangs next to my food stand. The isopods I do price.
Hold on. Why do you do that with the food? I'm curious. I think I know, but and you're going to recognize that we've really separated out duties at a show. Nanette does isopods. She does the Crested Gecko diet. She does the money. I blab. That's pretty much all I do. Everything else Nanette does, I blab. But why do you do the?
I do it that way because we ship a lot of food, and especially like Pangea, if I don't sell it, I don't want to ship it with a price tag on it.
Okay.
Right. I just don't like that look when we're shipping, so I always have to pull them off. It's also less time consuming and less chance of making a mistake and putting the wrong price on a bag of food that's supposed to be a higher price or a lower one. So it's just easier, and it's quick then to put it on the shelf and take it off. And if I need to use it today we shipped 18 boxes out today at least.
That was from a show.
That was the first run. And so I had to pull product from our box for that. And so I didn't have it priced. So it was easy just to drop it in the box and move on with it.
If you don't have, and I'd like to hear Faith kind of chime in on this one. This is a tough one. This is a tough call. Another reason why we don't have price stickers on our food is because Matt from Pangea will change the price. And it's like, doggone it. We just we printed all these out and he changed the price. Now we're going to go through and take them off and put them. So we just carry a sheet with us. I do price the geckos. We do price the geckos,
price
the
all the
isopods
and geckos. And
again, that's a tough call. I kind of go 51.49 to put a price tag on it because people will, I'm getting a lot of questions anyways. And I've seen people pick something up and not recognize that we have a price underneath on the side of the deli cup. And they'll look at it and they'll look at me and I'm talking to somebody. And I can see that from the corner of my eye. And they'll put it down and walk away. And I don't want customers doing that. So we put the price right there to kind of encourage, I guess, the buying process. But what it's going to not encourage, it's going to discourage the open conversation of somebody actually opening up and saying, hey, how much is this?
I think it's awkward when you have to ask how much. I mean, for me personally, I don't like asking.
Yeah.
Because then if I think it's too high or I don't want it, then it's an awkward moment for the customer to say, oh, okay, I can't afford that or whatever in their head. And then they feel somewhat obligated because they've asked about it. So that kind of bothers me. The sheet with the food also, I have a sheet that has it displayed for customers, but then I have a sheet that I tape to the back of my rack that I can see so that when a customer comes up and hands me something, if I don't remember the price, I can go right down that sheet real quick and not have to go around to look at the pricing.
I am terrible with product on our table. I know the geckos and I know exactly the prices, but I depend on that sheet behind the stand to tell me, the price of Pangea, which I should know by now. We've sold it for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, but he changes it.
He changes it, but I should know. I couldn't tell you the price of a 16 ounce by any means.
Well,
but that sheet, somebody will say how much, and I'll go, it's whatever it is. So I depend on that sheet and the isopods. It's just quicker to find it if you have it alphabetic and then the price right there.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, and I do it by groups, so it's easy.
There you go. You made a comment earlier, and this is just wide open. We were going to go as long as you have questions here. So hopefully not till 3 a.m. because I do.
Yeah, I have a chapter to read.
You have some
I have
homework.
one chapter to read today.
You mentioned like a banner or some kind of identification. Do you have anything right now? And don't panic if you don't. Nothing. Okay. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That
like I did a quick business card, but that just wasn't in the budget this time. It really was only like 2 weeks ago that I said, yeah, okay, we're gonna do the same thing.
I'm trying to think.
But that's the right approach. I can't stress this enough. You don't want to go out and buy display cases and stands and a nice skirt and a banner and shirts, and it adds up so quick. And then you run 4 or 5 shows. It's like, why did I get this crappy shirt? I should have got a nice polo. What I can suggest more than anything, what's that? But we have. So what I'll suggest more than anything is do the show, and you're going to get a different perspective. You've walked reptile shows before. Do this show.
Yeah.
And you guys, if you're doing the show together at some point in the show, you guys take a break. One of you take a break and just walk around for, 20 minutes and say, here's how our table is. Oh my gosh, that table is really cool. And that table is really cool. And go, do you mind? And you don't have to talk to the person. They're busy, but you can I take a picture and then just snap a picture of their animal. So it shows interest, but then take a picture of their booth and then come back home, because I'm going to forget it the second I walk from that booth to another booth. My mind's already on another subject.
Yeah.
If I have a picture, I'm going to scroll through those pictures Monday. I'm going to say, that's why I took that picture, because they have really nice labels or really nice displays, or they do something different that we're not doing, and I really like that, and I want to kind of emulate that.
Yeah.
How big is this show that you're in?
I mean,
it is. It's not a huge show. It's not like the super shows.
Okay.
We start at the big,
Yeah,
huge
no, that was-
super shows. Felt a little intimidated by that right now, but I think it's kind of just a medium show, and it really depends. It's right
Okay.
now the shows are kind of hit or miss. So sometimes
Yeah.
they're real, big, and a lot of people show up, and then sometimes they don't. So it's kind of not sure how this one's going to be really.
do you have Repticon where you are?
We don't. We have a couple of big shows. One of them is NARBC,
Right.
that's held in Chicago, and that's one of the
That's
biggest
big.
shows. So we get a lot of input from that show, and we do a lot of networking at that show. But we have 3 different other shows here in the southeast Wisconsin that have multiple shows a year. Like you'll never see it, but
Scaled up.
Scaled Up.
Yeah, I've heard of
Scaled Up is a show that we just did yesterday. I was going to say Sunday, like today is Thursday.
Sunday.
Um,
It feels like it.
It feels like it. So we just did Scaled Up yesterday, and we'll do probably 4 of those shows, 5 of those shows. We'll do 4 or 5 Show Me Reptile shows, which is expanding, and we do Sewer Fest, which is 2 or 3 times a year. So we're kind of busy with shows. But I tell you, we used to do a lot more. We used to do one show, 2-hour drive down and then 2 hours back, but we used to do that 2 times a month, and then a lot of other shows as well. So but Eddie RBC Tinley is the big show that we go to.
I was going to suggest that maybe for this show on your table, since you don't have the banner, which is not bad, maybe go to like an Office Max around you or something like that, or Staples, whatever's around that prints. Take your business card and see if they can blow that up onto like a white board, like a foam board, and you could maybe put it braced on an easel or just up against a box behind it or whatever on your table, and people would see your name quicker then instead of just your business card, if you're concerned about having somebody knowing who you are right away. That might be one way to do it. Another way, and if we had known this, we could have done this for you guys earlier, is to have somebody make you quick. My son made t-shirts for Supreme Gecko with the Cricut machine stuff he does, and just have your name on it on a shirt, and that's there. It's right there. They know who you are then. We don't ever wear anybody else's shirt at a show when we are vending. We always have our own shirt on, our Supreme Gecko, or a black shirt. Way back when, we used to just wear black shirts because it was just part of the look. But if you did that, that might work too.
Yeah.
Where, they would know who you were right away until you can get a banner. Banners, I'm trying to think. If you get to the point that you're getting a banner, talk to us for sure.
Okay.
Because we've got some real opinions on how to do the banner, what kind of banner to have, and how to make it easy to be able to move it around and take it with you too.
Yeah,
I'm clueless about that.
That's been real hard.
It is hard, and you don't want to spend $100 and you have to change it after 2 or 3 shows because it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
I'm all about how do I say this? Being cheap, but functional, but not looking cheap. So I'm huge into these tripods that you can get for like $25 off of Amazon, and you can get 2 of them, and you can hang banners right on these little tripod.
It's like a backdrop for photos.
Yeah,
and it was like $30. I think we paid
25 or $30.
25 or 30 on Amazon.
Yeah.
And there's so many places that do banners, but you don't want to go out there and again spend $200, $250 when you can get a banner that looks halfway decent. You don't want a small banner; you want a decent size. But I think you can spend like $50 or $60 and have a banner, and you're done.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I was waiting is that I have a friend who's she's an animal artist, kind of and I wanted to do my logo, but she's finishing a cat book right now.
Okay.
So I have like a faux logo at the moment until she has the art trying to do the artwork for me.
Yeah, once you get that done.
Because I didn't get like, but we could do like I could see Canva.
I mean, it's just a generic, something generic.
Yeah,
I guess. So you know,
a source that I use for there's two sources that I would suggest. One I use often, and one I've heard about over and over, and I just haven't used it yet. But one of the sources for design work is Fiverr. F-I-V. F-I-V-V-R, I think it is. Fiverr. If you have a question about this and you're looking for the link and I tell you the wrong thing, just message me and I can point you. But I've asked them to do like the Isopod logo that I have for Supreme Isopods. I think that was maybe $10 to do I gave them a picture of a Porcelio ornatus high yellow, an actual photo. And I said, give me an animation. $10, 2 days. Here it is.
Very nice.
Yeah. And there's another graphic design group on Facebook, and I don't know if I have the link or not, but they do designs potentially for free because it's part of classwork kind of assignments. So that would be another source. But I can't strongly suggest more than Fiverr for design work like that.
Okay, yeah, I've actually used them for something else, so they were really easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I bet you I've used Fiverr probably a dozen times, and on one condition, one situation I had that didn't really work out. They just couldn't hit what I was looking for, and we ended amicably and moved on. So I love the source.
Mm-hmm.
Business cards, great idea. You're right, something to identify you as an isopod breeder. But now, again, it's hard because sometimes you want to think big term, like 5 years, 10 years down the road. Is that going to be, do you want to maybe potentially sell other things in the future? Focus on the next year. Don't limit yourself to this show, but don't try to, wait and wait because you might do something bigger. Do it, try it, get experience. If you have to change it, but at least get something out there for right now.
Okay. Yeah, and we have I have a couple of things that I've made. I make really good springtail food, and so it's really good. And so I've packaged it, and it's one of those things that it's I don't even know how to price this stuff. I mean, I don't want to just
what I do for price.
Go ahead.
For pricing, what I do, to be very honest, is I go out there and I'll look at the internet. And I'll go to Amazon, I'll go to eBay, and I'll look up springtail food. Go to our site. And if you come up with a good product and you don't have to, I do a distributor program, and Faith is actually in it, where we sell the isopod food and the isopod food. Yeah. We send it out and then they sell it. But if you come up with a product that works, that's cool. But just go to other sites and kind of get a feel. You're going to find some at 20, let's say $5 an ounce. I don't know, $5 an ounce. You're going to find some there. You're going to find some at $2. Find out what it costs you, and then try to meet somewhere in the middle there.
Okay.
We found for pricing, this is interesting. We found at pricing, there's a certain price point where people don't care. People don't care if it's $2 or $3 or $4 or $5. Oh, it's $5. Here's $5. They're not going to say, "Oh my gosh, that's $5. It's not $3."
Right.
So they're willing to throw down a $5 and grab their product and move on. So we rarely price something so specific it shows. So, we also, we're locked in with the Pangea, but our food, we're locked into with that. But other products, we just try to price to what the consumer is going to buy at. Geckos. I like round numbers, so we'll go with a nice male, $100.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We're not doing $17.99 on anything. No.
Yes, exactly. And I got stuck, years ago because we were selling dishes and hatch material and this and that. So I had to come with $40 in singles, and that just doesn't work. It's hard.
Yeah.
We come with a few. We sell some products like that. Yeah.
There's still some stuff that's under or whatever, but not much.
Yeah. So $1 isn't going to influence a customer at a show if they're going to buy or not going to buy. I don't think. What products are you bringing? Are you bringing just isopods, the springtail food?
So I may be bringing some frogs, some poison dart frogs. I will be bringing some poison dart frog tadpoles, which I've made a little kit for. Springtails, rice flower beetles. I think we're
fruit fly
cultures. Like we're making like a little kind of fun, silly isopod grab bag thing with like a little dish and a little snail shell that ours love to crawl around in, and what other things do we have? Some soils, some leaves. I've been busy. some soil, some leaves, just like little packets of bee pollen and calcium carbonate. Like that's what we mean by the little grab bag. Like just a couple of things. Because honestly, they were the things that we would go to a show. Pork. And we would not be able to find, number one. And number two, if they had it, they just didn't have it like in a quantity that we wanted. Like I've got one tadpole. I don't need, this much tadpole food. I just need like a little vial of it. So that we're selling some Rapashi products that go along with frogs.
And some isopod stuff.
Yeah,
bug burger
and isopods.
And
we did have a question about isopods. A lot of our isopods that we have are it's kind of like the young unidentifiable isopods. So like a magic potion juvenile could really be like
something else.
It could be something else. So like how small is too small?
Yeah.
To sell. Yeah.
Excellent question. So we don't.
A lot of those now.
We don't take adult isopods. It's rare. It's very, very, very rare. If we have just like Punta Cana, because they show so nice as adults.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we'll then stock a cup with probably 13 or 14 of them. I don't like to do that because I've had several occasions where I've gotten adult isopods from a seller, and they're all adults and they die in a month.
Yeah.
And I know they've. I don't think they do it for a reason, but I know they've just pulled the big ones, and here's some isopod. So we sell them, not babies. We want to sell them probably about half size. That's what we try to do. Now it's not convenient all the time to do that, but that's what our goal is, to sell them so that you can kind of see what they are, but they have a long life ahead of them, and they can get to where they're going. They can get established, they can grow a little bit, and then start producing.
So, with things that look pretty much identical to an adult, like a baby zebra, no matter what size it is very much a baby zebra. But like a baby Punta Cana could be like 12 different kinds of armadillidium. So do you ever do you just show photos of adults, or do you bring like a culture of adults? Because I don't mean people that are collectors that are going to a show that are specifically looking for Punta Cana, but that, maybe kind of new to isopods, if they see, smaller magic potions, they're not going to get the idea of what they really look like when they're adults.
Yeah, that's a great point, and great examples. Magic potions, Punta Canas, orange vigors. They're really not going to show until they get a little bit bigger. So for animals like that, Hoffman Sigi we'll take, pretty young, because what they look like, but we'll always try to take, maybe some as an example to show people that are adults. So people go, oh my gosh, that's how big they get. Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah, I'll take some. And then we sell them the smaller, month-old, well, probably 2-month-old animals. But for the ones that you've mentioned, I really think you have to go adults. I think you have to go don't pull, and you can tell the mature adults from the just established adults, because once they start becoming more mature, their colors start dying down. They get bigger, obviously. So we try to not take those. We'll take the just as they're getting to be adult kind of animals. Late teenagers, I guess.
Yeah.
The one problem is showing them. So you're going to have, cup after cup after cup after cup of isopods, and people are going to go, I see dirt or sphagnum moss or however you want to show them off. You're not going to see unless you open every time somebody walks by, hey, you want to see an isopod? We've not conquered this dilemma ourselves very well. We have a QR code so that they can scan and they can see our page and they can see what the isopods look like. But that's more for some high-end kind of stuff.
They don't want to do that when they're at the table either.
They really don't.
They get the QR code. They I got it, but they want to know what the picture is now.
Yeah. I think what we're probably going to go back to is just having a poster, 8.5 by 11, with small pictures of the isopods. And when somebody says, what does a Frontorostrum look like, then we're going to say, oh, that's number 23 up here.
Right. Look a minute. Nope.
No.
I would rather have, like you did years ago, one of those flip things, the flip camera, the photo album that you had the breeders of your crusteds, and when you had the parents in it. I would rather have that and have them in order and just be able to flip through and show them that than have a poster that I have to accommodate on a table.
Yeah, that would probably be making notes. Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
That is great.
I think that's a lot easier, because then if you don't have them there, we did the poster board thing, and then we got some that we weren't selling anymore, and they'd look at it. Do you have those? No, not today. Or my favorite word is we've already sold them out. But you just don't want to. I don't know. It's just hard, and then it's another thing on the table that I have to accommodate, and it's not going to work.
And I keep thinking it's QR codes, it's technology. People have smartphones. That's what the smartphones are for. But we're just not getting people's interest with the QR codes and them standing there scanning and then on their phone kind of scrolling through. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about using the QR code as a label so that they buy a springtail culture and it's just care or information about the culture. They can scan it there.
Yeah.
So that's my plan. I'm still in the 4 days that I'm left to do all of this. We labeled a bottle today.
Yeah, we labeled some bottles today.
Non-cold tea today.
How are you going to label your isopods?
Yes, Nanette. How am I going to label our isopods? Because we have been thinking, do we put the label on the top of the bin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Up on top. And what I do, and I've done these multiple different ways. For a while, I was using a white paint marker. I didn't like that. Then I went to just the black Sharpie. I didn't like that. Mm-hmm. And now I have a couple different, Wally got a couple paint markers on Amazon, and it's a bright yellow. And I write right on the top of the cup the name of it. So I'm not printing labels and wasting paper and money that way and ink. And I just write on the top of the container what it is. And that's it. Done. And then I put a color sticker. All our stickers are orange because they're just orange. I don't know why. We just have orange stickers with all the prices on everything.
Okay.
Because it stands out. But I use a color paint marker to write on the top of the labels.
Okay. Okay.
It's faster. I mean, you can just take it and just write it. You're not labeling and sticking. So I don't know that. I just prefer that.
Okay.
And you have really good penmanship. Nobody would be able to read my writing whatsoever. So I don't.
I can't. You wouldn't be able to read my writing either.
Right.
It's just bad. I'm like, you writing this down in your perfect penmanship?
Not so perfect right now, but just fast. Perfect.
It's just quicker and easy. And then you can save the container for the next time around.
Yeah.
When I go through, when we've put them back, when we come home, if we haven't sold them, then I've already got those containers made on my list. And that's like a little bit less to have to do the next time, maybe. I don't know. It just works easier.
Oh, super newbie question. You just kind of said something that made me think of it. Take your animals home at night if you're going to the show the next day?
So are you talking about a 2-day show?
It's 2 days, yeah.
Ours stay on the table, and we put a tablecloth over the top of them.
Yep, all the time.
The shows that we've gone to that have been 2-day shows or more have security, and they lock the room up, and we don't have to worry about it. And we have never ever had an issue.
Okay.
NARBC, there is not an option. You cannot take your animals out. They don't let it.
Oh.
And they lock down. If they lock down, it's like Fort Knox. You aren't getting in there for anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a black
I just take a cheap black plastic tablecloth or a sheet, and just throw it over the top of it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Do we freeze? No, we're good.
Probably take all their animals home, so I'm sure some stay.
Yeah.
Right. So
here's my thought about that. If you have everything spread out on the table, it's going to take you time to take them all down, and it's going to take you time at the start of the next day to put them all out. You might kind of mess them around because you've had all day the first day to make sure everything's in order and you know where everything is at. And also, if you're taking them down and taking them home, you have a little bit of a risk of the car's too hot, or they on or something. Yeah. It's just better just to leave them, because probably that the show area is going to be in the 70s, and it's going to be perfect for the animals.
Faith said that she uses cheap plastic.
So last weekend at LA Super Show, it was a disaster. So
no,
the building was not, the air conditioning wasn't working all that well, and that happened to be where the dart frogs were.
No.
It was 103.
No way.
With a UV index of 10. And they were warning people as you go out the door, because you have to take a tram to your car. So you're walking with an animal in a plastic container in a plastic bag.
Oh my gosh.
I got a frog. I had to drive home with like my hand in the lid so that the frog was getting air, going, please don't jump out on the freeway. Oh, please.
Oh my gosh.
It was awful. It was
awful.
Our friend got a chameleon, and we were running to the car, and she said, I gotta go. Like, I gotta get in my car. It was bad.
That's bad.
So I mean, I even thought about, hopefully it won't be, it's not going.
It's a smaller the show building is smaller,
and you walk right to your car.
So I think this one will be a little bit better.
I mean, I even considered grabbing some of those cheap, like, beer 6-pack containers, and selling or offering them to some people if they needed them. And we always bring coolers. We always bring like little coolers when we go to shows in case we buy animals, to put them in. But I mean, there was no options. People were you see people running with like animals under their shirt, just trying to get to their car. And your car doesn't cool down quickly when it's that hot. No. Yeah, it was awful.
So with you guys, do you usually set up the morning of the show, or do you go the Friday before?
No, we set up the morning of. When we go up. Most of the time, the shows that we go to in Wisconsin, where we're at, most of them are within an hour and a half. Yesterday was 2 hours, was the longest drive. Mm-hmm. So most of the time, we just kind of figure out when their VIP is, and then Wally backs up the time to what it's going to take. The first few shows is going to take you a while to get your setup down the way you like it, and you're going to keep shifting things. We're down to about an hour now, and that's with cleaning animals. When we get in, he's cleaning out containers.
By the time we walk in the door of the show to the point where we're okay, are we ready? Yes, we're ready. It's about an hour. Yeah.
So we do it always then. There are some places that we don't have the option to go in the night before. And there's several places that, they might not rented out the night before, and then they've just got it set for the day of. So no.
We'll usually catch animals because we're doing geckos and we're doing isopods and now we're doing fish too. So we'll usually catch animals Saturday, have everything packaged, ready to go. And this was a different show because I got up a little bit early Sunday morning and I cleaned the geckos. But usually I get there and that's my number one, focus is get the animals out, prepare them for display, taking the paper towel out and moistening and just freshening them up. And that takes me probably a good half hour to do, I don't even know how many cups we take, a good sized box, big box.
Couple boxes.
Couple boxes.
But we pack everything the day before so that we could go. We used to get up early in the morning and pack. And now it's like, forget it. We don't have time for that.
We're going to have to do that because of the heat. We can't leave things in our car overnight.
Yeah, right now.
No, we don't take anything.
No.
The only stuff that goes in our car the day before is the stuff that's going to go on the table. It's non-live. We leave everything in the containers in the house, in the, in the kitchen area or whatever, wherever before we're going to walk out the door, and they're in their box ready to go. But we don't take, that's the last thing that goes in our car.
Yes.
Totally. And in the summertime, I cool the car first. In the wintertime, we put the heat on and get the car ready. Just like if I was putting a kid in the car and it was extreme either way. But no, we don't put the animals in the night before. No.
I don't think we could put anything in the night before. Like it can get to be like 110 around here.
Oh, no.
It's been in the hundreds for like the last 3 weeks running.
Okay.
And so overnight, I can't even imagine. And they'd probably get stolen. We're in Los Angeles. It would probably.
And to be honest, I don't think I would ever put anything in the car. Just I want it in the house where we know the temperature is controlled and humidity and everything. So
we're gonna need to go to Party City and see if we can get I don't know, coverings or sheets or something.
Go to the dollar store and buy cheap tablecloths.
Yeah,
the
dollar always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is kind of off tangent, but we're talking about this, but do the show, take pictures of the table, take pictures of the display, get a broad picture, get detailed pictures, and let's send them over to us, next week, and we'll kind of do a critique.
Okay.
And again, we don't know everything, but if we see something, if Nanette or I see something, we'll certainly mention it. Like maybe what you want to do is change this up, or I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll certainly take a look.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get. I mean, we don't have. Again, this is something I'm looking at that now. Can we repurpose that? We don't have anything to hang stuff from, which would be nice. But again, that's all stuff that would be down the line. So bags of soil are just going to have to be kind of propped onto the table. But that may be okay.
It took us a long time, and it's a transition. It's ever evolving because it's hard to find the right way to show something on the table without taking up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Making it easy for somebody to grab and take with them, kind of like a retail store, kind of like you're standing at the cash register and you want to grab a Snickers bar or something. Make it as super easy. Yeah, it does sound good. Make it as easy as possible for them to grab. That's hard. I don't think we still have found the perfect solution for something. You've come up with a nice rack.
The food one, I purchased a rack on Amazon, and I'm not sure now that I like it all the time. It depends on the show. Some of our shows we've run into recently in the last this last year alone, and one of the scaled up show. We went from the normal, I don't know, what are they, 24-inch table wide tables that you have by 6 foot down to an 18-inch. They're like the conference table.
Oh.
So all of a sudden I'm we've lost almost 6 to 9 inches at times.
Horrible. Yeah.
And that's adjusting. That makes it really hard. So sometimes the rack works. When we first started way back when, I went to the dollar store and I bought black baskets. And I put the food in the baskets, and I put it like the leaves of the basket or whatever we had, and I would have it in the basket. And for a long time, I would pack it that way in a box. So all I had to do was take it out, put it on the table, and not mess with it. Now with the food, I've got a rack, so I got to take it all out and put it into the rack, which is fine. But that would be one way. If you have, even if you have anything at home that you could utilize that way, baskets or whatever, to just kind of put your stuff in, then it's just not scattered all over your table and getting moved around a lot.
It's nicer.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to do tiers at this point and you don't want to purchase something, take a cardboard box and flip it over. Put a piece of the plastic tablecloth over it or a piece of fabric, and just make your height that way until you know what you want your tables to look like.
We got a couple of like neat little, I think they're like ice rack holders. I don't know what their original purpose is. That you can put little like tubs of ice on. We got some of those.
That would work.
Yeah.
So we got some of those just to get a little height.
Yep.
And then we actually do have a couple of things on there for people to steal. So we got like some candies and like these little dart frogs that I got at the dollar store that can kind of go out there. So if somebody wants to steal something, have at that.
Yeah. We have a candy bowl on the table all the time, and you'd be amazed how many people, several people, in fact, vendors will come by and they're like, oh, thank goodness, can I grab that?
Yeah.
I just put suckers in it, the Dum Dum suckers, and I put Tootsie Rolls or mints in it. Mints more for us as the day goes on, but
you shouldn't open them in advance because
now that they've relaxed a little bit with the COVID, we can put the candy back out. We've only started doing that like in the last couple months.
We have hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah, hand
sanitizer we have out all the time for everybody.
Yeah.
But and you won't have that with animals. I was going to say, if you had geckos and stuff, just make sure they really rub it in and they're not like all over their hands before they would touch a live animal, because just in case it starts licking the sanitizer that's excess or something, just be cautious. You never know.
I don't have hold animals, so
you don't have that, so you'll be okay there.
So I have a question on that. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was just talking about nothing.
I don't want to forget this though. You have dart frogs, so you are not selling dart frogs though.
So
you're selling the concept of owning a dart frog. You're selling the look of the enclosure. And oh, by the way, if you want to take something home, here's a dart frog you can buy. Right? So that's going to be a challenge for you, because you probably, the best dart frog vendors I've ever seen have 1 or 2 or 3 displays of dart frogs there, even if they're 10-gallon tanks, and they have their pockets of little deli cups with the dart frogs. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I want that in my house.
Yes.
This is what I need to make that happen.
So one of the big reasons that I was holding back on all of this of deciding whether to vend or not was because right now I'm breeding one kind of dart frog, right? But I figure get really good at one kind.
Yes.
Right? So and I think I told you a little bit about this, Wally. I have a killer ant problem. And so I lost a bin of froglets to I'm not okay. Yeah, I have PTSD from it. But there was concern that if the ants got into any kind of poison, what if they got into the bins and they were eaten? So I'm holding back my frogs for now.
Okay.
Would have otherwise been available. The ants have never gone anywhere near the tadpoles. I may change my mind on that. I'm just being a little hyper cautious right now. We do have an acquaintance, Tim's dart frog, so I'll show you some of his setups. So we don't get a lot of dart frog people at our shows. In fact, we get 3. So at the big shows, we'll get Josh's Frogs, which is a small section of dart frogs under netting. And then we get Dart Frog Connection, which is only recently some more stuff. Usually in the beginning, it was just tadpoles and frogs, and that's it. Now he's got some dry goods there that he sells. But our friend Tim, you get all of it. He does the enclosures, he sells plants, he sells tadpoles, he sells frogs.
He makes some amazing displays.
He does a great job. And so I was like, do I really want to go to a show and sell this one frog? And then I thought, it's a really good one. I mean, it's a Phillips terribilis mint, which is like the iconic dart frog. So, and they're always in high demand. So, you know.
So there's that.
So I'm not the girl that breeds 100 different kinds of dart frogs. I'm the girl that will breed 10 really well.
That is a challenge for you. It is a big challenge. So somehow you need to accentuate the fact that you have this one amazing dart frog. Josh's frogs have 23 different species. That's really cool. But really, listen, folks, listen, customers, this is the one you want. So at some point, you need a big poster that shows that one dart frog in an enclosure with green plants and, you know, reds and greens and everything just popping on that poster. So you need something. That's my challenge too, because I sell these little teeny tiny geckos and somebody will pick up a cup and go, I don't get it. Why is this one $500 and this one is $25? I don't get it. It's hard for me to go, yeah, but $500. Nobody else in the U.S. is breeding this animal. They don't care. They don't care. But I've thought about that, of putting up a big poster of this really cool and blowing it up and making it really nice. So people go, I want that. So again, you have to sell that concept of, you know, and maybe Josh's Frogs and Connection is already doing this for you in a way, but you have to get the customer's mindset that I want that type of thing in my house. And that dart frog is the one that I want.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what I tell people. Like, I know when they think about dart frog, deadliest frog in the world. This is it.
There you go. There you go.
What they're talking about, and now it's delightful home green walking around the house and being adorable.
So that's something that you want to kind of always, you know, kind of keep in the back of your mind, and walk around and look at the show and maybe the super shows. And if you see somebody that's selling that concept, then kind of, you know, take the phone out and take pictures and go, okay, I want that, but I want to change it so that it's showing off a dart frog instead.
Yeah.
But that sounds like it's something down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. You know, it was just really bad timing on that. But if they're not ready, or I'm not emotionally ready to.
It sounds like this might be a great show to go and vend. And if you make some money, great. If you don't make what you think you could be making at these shows, don't get discouraged. I say this all the time. Don't get discouraged. Walk away. And if you've heard any of my show videos, you know what I'm going to say next. Walk away, get in the car, and just talk about the show. What did we do wrong? Because it's not that you're doing things wrong. You just don't know about a better way. What can we do to improve? We had a lot of people picking up cups, but they weren't buying. Well, how do we get them to buy? Do we need to be more outgoing, more hard sell? And for me, that doesn't work. I'll never, ever be a hard sell. Buy this gecko. I'll talk. Somebody's ear off, and then they'll go, okay, I want to buy it. And I'll go, yeah, but you have cats and you don't like animals that don't have tails. And maybe you don't want to buy this crested gecko. Maybe you want to go over to Jim's table and buy a snake. You know, I'm a very, very soft sell person, but you need to find that equilibrium. But these first few shows, do them. And if you bring some cash back, you know, invest that, and treat that as a huge success. If you don't, it's not a failure whatsoever. It's a whole learning experience. You're getting your name out there, and you start putting out big posters, and people walk away, and then the next show they go, I want to find, where are they? I want to find that table that has those really cool green dart frogs. You win. You just won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this will be a good one to get our feet wet, at least. See where, because I know there's obviously going to be places where improvements will need to be made, but
we do it every time we come home from a show.
Every
time we change something, or it's like, what can we, like the isopod pictures and that. I mean, we've done that multiple ways.
Yeah.
Last week, his idea was a great big TV behind us, and being able to show them through. And I'm like,
then that's like, what?
I'm like, one, the car is full. Two, I don't want to play with electric and all that junk with that. Speaking of, you mentioned the word electricity.
Yes. Oh, electricity.
Okay, what is the confusion? What?
So honestly, I rarely see people lighting things unless they're like in lighting an enclosure.
Oh, okay.
So if they bring like a vivarium where they're using misters and stuff, but I don't see people lighting the animals on the table so much. And it may be because frogs just don't really like to be lit like that.
It could be.
I'm going to bring some lights, but I don't really have any plans on how to hang them or anything, but I think I should have them there in case I end up being in a dark corner.
One of the biggest failures we've ever had at a show is we used to do, for the first few years, there was always something we were forgetting. Did you bring the Sharpies? No, I thought you had them. So we got boxes. And everything stayed in the boxes. They never ever left. The box with all the pens and tape and whatever. We might use this, so we better put it in the box. So we had a small, toolbox thing, and then we have a big box, and we have, how many boxes do we have? Non-animal boxes.
I take in, the
electric box.
The box is only electric, and that has our table lights and our electricity and an extra extension cord and a strip.
Big heavy-duty extension cords.
Because you never know how far you're going to have to go with that cord, because you don't have electric right next to you most of the time. This last show, we were streaming all the way across the section we were in to get electricity.
2 extension cords.
That one goes into that box, and then the other box, I have the fold-down risers. I have the toolbox with all the odds and ends of stuff. I always have extra labels and the markers. Kind of the black tablecloths are in there. I'm trying to think what else I keep in there. The candy stays in that box with a candy dish that I've gotten. I'm trying to think what else is in there.
What's the other box? The next box?
That's the 2 boxes.
Okay.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? I just do the 2, and I have like one of those school boxes for the pens and scissors. And
scissors, we don't have any. This is all the kind of things that we're like, we need to write this down, because
scissors, pens, scissors, Sharpies. I always have Sharpies. I have a push pin taped to the inside of the box, so in case I have forgotten to punch an air hole in something, I can do it, which I did this weekend with the day gecko. I forgot to put pop holes in one of them, so that's there. I have the labels, stickers. My pricing stickers are in there.
Always have little round stickers, because you're going to need them. One show you're going to need them for prices or to put information, something on them.
Trying to think what else I have in that box. Our lights are the ones that clamp onto a table. We got them on Amazon, and you just clamp them onto a table and they drape over the top. Almost every show that we go to, you have to have lighting. You have to, or you can't see anything.
I was going to mention our biggest failure was one show, and for a couple of years we were forgetting one something or other, nothing big. But I forgot the lights one show. I completely forgot the lights, and it was a dark hall. And I'll say we probably did a quarter of what we usually do at a show. A quarter. That one hurt. And that was one of those things where this will never, ever happen. Lights were so important, because the hallway was just like, if I turned off the lights here and had like one overhead, you could see us, but talking about lights, we're losing some of our lights here. You could see what's going on, but you couldn't really see the animals. They didn't show up. That's interesting that you say that dart frogs don't like lights, but yet I do see dart frogs at shows, and they have I think you're going to have to talk to people, go to a show that you're not vending, and you're going to look and just ask them, these look so incredible. What kind of lights do you use? These are really nice.
Oh yeah, I was checking out Dark Frog Connections. Tim didn't have any lights on his frogs on the table. He did on the ones in his enclosure. Right. Dark Frog Connection did. It was so like those metal bookcases. So it was like a little metal case that just like a little whatever and he just had them like zip tied to him. Zip ties. Put that in the back. Yeah. Zip ties. Those
yeah.
So we had the lights kind of just zip tied to it. But that is the only time that I've seen it. And so most dart frogs will hide if that light is too bright. Which is why, they usually put them really stark, like on a paper towel. But it's kind of brutal a little bit. So I'd like to give them a little more opportunity to hide. Although I'm not really taking any yet that I know of. We looked at them today. I might take them.
Yeah.
It's a tough call. You want the animals to be as comfortable as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
We did dirt for our cups for the first few shows. It presented the isopods better, but it was just a nightmare to work with the dirt. So we do the sphagnum moss, but then you get into the problem of, I want to see what this isopod looks like. And, you have to come up with a good way. So talking about dart frogs, you have the display, and this is really cool. And I don't know if you get plastic dart frogs, you put them in the display so that they're out all the time. And then people go, this is really cool. I like green. I really like green. Okay, here's the green ones in these little cups. You can't really see the animals, but you can see them in the display, so you know exactly what you're buying. Here's the cup that you want.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I guess there's also an element of people, when they're selling frogs, which is probably why there's netting, of people taking off the lid with an animal that can jump.
I think that Josh Frogs pretty much does the netting because of theft and just because they can't keep up with the table. There's just too many people. And they're the only ones, I think. We've seen a couple tables that have done that in the past, but
Triple L Reptile does it. But I watched a kid walk off with like $100 light, and the guy, nobody was watching, and the kid actually came back, but I was like, over there, no.
Yeah. It's a hard call, and we're getting to the point with some of our geckos that we probably are going to look into just little home security cameras that we can put up. If something leaves the table, I know it.
Yesterday.
I know it. Yeah, yesterday was a big one. So I'm talking to a customer, and we've got gargoyles on the table, $750, $400, $350, and the thing is, crusteds or isopods. Somebody leaves with an isopod cup or one of the crested geckos. It hurts. It really does, and it makes me feel bad from a ethics kind of standpoint. Somebody walks off with a $750 gecko. That's kind of a one of a kind for us, and it's hard to make that up because I've raised that for years. So I'm talking to somebody, eye contact, and I look down to see what do we have available that I can talk to him about. He's looking for this, and I see 4 gargoyles instead of 5. So my mind says keep talking to the customer and making the sale. And another part of my mind says, what the heck just happened? We had somebody walk off. So I struggled with that, and then, had a little bit of a lull and looked over the net and said, I think we just had a gargoyle walk on us. And she said, I just sold one. It's okay. We just sold one.
I just hadn't had the time to say it's sold. I do tend to put the higher priced isopods closer to me.
Yeah.
Or on the risers.
Or the riser up so that it's closer, and that the higher end ones I keep close to me. The gargoyle, the animals, it's hard. I do kind of with the animals, and that's different for you, but I do go through and kind of just glance at the table throughout if there's a lull, and I kind of count what I've sold on my sheet that I've checked off, and I do a quick count on the table of that animal if I can quickly. And then I know, because there's been a couple times I've come up and it's like, oh, I think but we weren't.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a question for Faith. I think, Faith, if you're still in the chat, and I think you are, and I know you've been selling now for a few months, I'm wondering, do you have more than one table, and how do you keep eyes on the table? Here's something that we try to do. You know, I have the geckos, and Annette has isopods in the food. I know that part of the table. I'm watching Nanette's table a little bit, but I'm really, you know, spying my table a lot. Not that I'm, hey, don't touch that animal and keep your hands off. I'm just aware of what's going on. And I'll kind of be aware of Nanette's table too, from two standpoints, obviously, from just kind of a protection standpoint, but more from, do we have customers standing there that aren't getting attention? I'll be with you in just a second, sir or ma'am. So I can do that, catch them and make the contact and keep them at the table while I just finish this one off. So maybe what works for us, the point I was getting at is that we have sectioned off the different parts of the table, and you're very responsible for yours, and I'm very responsible for mine. We're not crossing over and back and forth on the table.
The other thing too, and as you were just saying this, I would suggest that when you get to a point where you're more than one table, always try to have them put you on a straight shot, not on a corner.
Oh, okay.
We've been a couple times where we've done that corner thing. It's a lot harder to watch the second table when you're on a corner because our backs are kind of to each other a little bit. It's also harder to set up a corner table.
Okay.
When you're not expecting it, it's like, oh, wait, this totally changes how our...
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But try to keep off of those.
Yeah. I have one question that's, it'll be hard because so Lisa and I are both trained as docents. It's a long story, but we graduated from our Los Angeles docent program. And we were supposed to have our graduation on March 13th, 2020. So you can imagine what happened there. But like what we do, we want to talk about animals to people endlessly if they'll listen. So here's an ethical question, and I don't know if you're going to have an answer, but you know, I plan on bringing some. I am even like in pain saying it. Some Bolivari. How do you know what kind of things do you look for when have you ever said to someone, you've never had an isopod, I'm not selling you these?
That is an amazingly great question. Yeah. I'm going to relate way back when I first started, and we used to do this show called Wisconsin. I can't even remember the show. It was the Madison show.
Wire.
And this is ethics. This is really, really tough. I'm not going to sell if I don't think the person's capable of having an animal. Never, ever, ever will we do that. But if I feel that they're capable of having an animal and they're going to care for the animal properly, the sale's going to happen. I talked to somebody. So here's the deal. Crested geckos sometimes freak out with cats, but not always. I talked to somebody just yesterday about their crested geckos losing tails. They said we have plenty of cats. They're on the cages all the time. Never had a crested gecko lose its tail. One of the first shows that we did, probably the first year, I'd say, we sold a crested gecko. The customer went over to another table and then came back to our table and said, I'd like my money back. I have cats. And the vendor over, two tables down said that I can't keep crested geckos if I have cats. And that was frustrating for me. Number one, I didn't know that they had cats. We would have talked that through and I would have made sure that they were comfortable. But then to have another vendor say, yeah, the animal you just bought, you shouldn't have. So the vendor and I talked it over and, we came to an agreement. I think, here's my thought on this whole thing. Number one, don't ever not sell another vendor's animal, but more importantly, get as much information out there as you possibly can. This is more, if you try, my mind is, and my honest opinion is that if you're at a show, you're there to sell animals, but you're more importantly sharing the passion, you're educating. And I've told the kids, and you just get this. I've told the kids over and over again, we're not there. The fact that we're bringing these bills home with us isn't the reason we're doing shows.
Yeah.
That's an end result. That's an end result. The primary mission of what we're doing is to make sure people know Supreme Gecko sells geckos and good quality geckos, and they share information. And the results of that should be hopefully eventually sales. So share as much information as you can. Now, if they say, oh, I had dwarf whites before, and I'm going to take these Bolivari and I'm going to keep them in this deli cup, and they should be pretty cool. You might want to go, this is a lot of money. The Bolivari might not live that long for you. Yeah. You might want to consider, so I think you drive them toward, is this person capable? And then, if they're not, you kind of drive them toward, maybe you want more dwarf whites.
Yeah. Right? If you ask a lot of questions, and then I think that for us to just seeing people, we had a customer yesterday, she bounced all over the room that we were in yesterday, from table to table to table. She asked a ton of questions about animals. And then she'd go somewhere else and she's like, I don't know, I really like it, I'm not sure, and blah, blah, blah. And in the end, she came back to us, and Wally was gone, and she's like telling me what she wants to do with this animal, which she had never conveyed to him at all. And she wanted to be able to just keep it up on his shoulder all the time when she's working at home. Well, that particular gecko isn't going to sit on your shoulder most likely.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of said to her, well, it's not going to do that. It likes to be held, but it's not going to be one that's going to just sit there while you work for 2 hours.
Right.
And she's like, oh, okay. So then she walked away, and she came back and she said, I think I'm going to wait, and I just got to get more information. So I think a lot of times just giving as much as you can, and the variety. And we always tell them, there's other vendors here. Go and talk to other vendors. Don't always listen to us. Talk to other people. Look around first. But I think you kind of get a feel for the people that can't do it. And we really haven't had that many that we have. I can't think. We had one family a few months ago come through, and it was a young couple with their kids. They were not in a good place, and we could tell it. So we just kind of steered the direction.
Not in a good place.
They were not. That's
You're
being very nice.
Oh my God.
Well, we are on a members only, so I couldn't say more. But they were just not good. So we just kind of steered them away from a purchase, just by saying, with the kids being little, and this might be, and we just kind of reworked it a little bit without saying you can't do this and we're not selling our animal. You kind of get a feel, and you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know if they're just not there.
Because I've sort of thought about, like, kind of grouping, like beginner, more advanced. And then I thought, but if you have someone like me, I'm up for a challenge, I'll take that thing. And I might not have been ready. I know I wasn't ready for those Bolivari when I got them. And I mean, I sweat and kept them alive, and they're thriving now. But yeah. We'll work it out.
It's not easy. It's not, and there is no right or wrong answer. This is a big gray area. I'll give you a couple of examples though. So for Bolivari, I would definitely say this is on the high end.
Yep.
This is on the absolute expert level. Mm-hmm. So you have to have all the shields and all the rings and everything in your game to be able to face this end game monster, because this is it right here. I would stress that as much as possible. This is the big one. This is going to, this challenges me as a keeper of, 4 or 5 years. I want to make sure that you're making the right decision. Now, on the other hand, when I got into animals, I didn't get a leopard gecko. I didn't get a crested gecko. I got the worst animal that you can get starting off. I got a chameleon.
Okay.
A chameleon, and I had huge success with them. I was breeding the panthers and just loved it. Yeah, but that's my mindset is to and I jumped on Veils at first, and I just pounded the research, and learned as much as and set up, and I did well with them. So you don't know, if somebody really has that passion, they're going to learn, so I would never say, oh, you've never kept isopods, I don't want you to buy these Bolivari, but you do want to emphasize they are the top of the top.
Right. But that's when people say, I would love to have a toucan, I'm like, would you now?
Here's some experiences I've had with them. Yeah, exactly.
Smaller mammals in your house, it will try to remove their eyeballs unless you know what you're doing. She's the sweetest thing ever, but
she's still a toucan.
She's still a toucan.
You have to be experienced, exactly.
Yeah, it's basically a velociraptor with feathers.
How are you going to handle the money part of it now? Because you mentioned that earlier too.
So I have a Square account, and I just got my Square reader. I have not tested it yet. I have to do that because I'm, you do like a send yourself $1 thing. Yep. And then I guess we're going to have a cash box.
Yeah. You guys.
Yeah.
I keep the cash in my pockets.
I am a big.
I don't like a cash box.
Opponent of cash boxes. It's huge.
You've got all your vendors in the same pod normally, and things are happening, and people see that you have a cash box. I keep the cash in my pocket. Okay. In my multiple pockets, and when we get to a point where there's just too much in my pocket, then I do stash cash, but most of the time it's in my pockets through the whole show. Plus it's quicker to get.
That's exactly what I do. I do that all. Yeah, exactly. So for our listeners that watch Pawn Stars, it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah,
you can't. Not with your money.
I keep it on me. It's also easier than sitting down and going to a cash box and counting it all out. The Square, I'm going to tell you that don't panic. I have the app on my phone, okay, and it's available. If the Square reader does not function correctly, there is a manual option.
Yeah.
Type it in, and there are times that the internet will not connect correctly with that Square reader for me, and I end up doing the type in. People don't care. Okay. They physically, I'm surprised how many people will just hand me their card even though we're right across the table, where other places I've gone, it's like they tap it and they walk away. They don't want anybody touching their own card. But don't panic if it doesn't happen. Just do the manual entry. And then it will tell you, it'll ask you if you want I think it's under 30, it doesn't, but over 30, it asks if you want a receipt. And I always ask the customer if they want the receipt. And a lot of times it'll come up with an email. I forgot how it is. Email, and then I know text is in there, and there's a third one that it comes up with. Most of the time, their phone number connects with that card that they've used, and it'll come up with a text with the last 4 digits of their phone. And I just always say, is this your phone? Do you want me to text it to you? 95% of our customers don't want a receipt from us, so we don't have to worry. But I never let a customer walk away until I see the thing spin out and tell me it's done. Okay. And then throughout the day, I'll hit the transaction mode on the bottom of the Square app in my phone, and I can see transactions that have gone through, and I know it's okay. Okay. I would not do PayPal. That is like the worst one to have to do, only because you can't track it fast, and right. you have to trust that they've gotten it to go through, and then you're looking up your PayPal, and that's just not worth it.
Do you have backup like Zelle or Venmo or?
I don't. I've thought about it. I just haven't had the time to investigate more. Venmo. It hasn't been an issue. I've been asked several times. Well, I've been asked several times online. Yeah. No. Do you want to pay via Venmo or PayPal? I always choose PayPal because our account in PayPal builds up. It's kind of your choice. I don't right now, but if it's something that you go with, I think it'll work for you. Now, Nanette mentioned PayPal. We've done shows where we've had the computer out and we've asked people, do you want to just pay for PayPal? It's all here. All that you have to do is sign in and pay. And there's been some reluctancy from some people. Some people go, oh, yeah, I'd love to pay through PayPal. But Nanette's right. You really have to kind of watch at the end, and you have to close out the browser so that they know in front of them, see, I'm closing out the browser. So nothing's stored, and it gives them. But now, that's 10 years ago or so that we used to do that. Now I think more people are more conscious of the whole security thing, so it might be more of an issue.
Yeah. We used PayPal a couple months ago in a location because their internet went down.
Okay.
We were stuck. We had no option. There was a customer that wanted to pay, and she eventually came through and she did PayPal. Yesterday I had a card go through that decline 3 times, and the girl's like, "This is what I have," and I'm like, "It's not processing." She walked out to the time machine. She got the money out and came back and paid me.
Yep.
So don't panic if Square doesn't work right away. It's not. You can do it manually, very easy.
Okay. And
Do you want to?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry, Lisa. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you for cash. Like, what do you guys bring?
I start out with $100 in cash with me to the shows, because normally we start selling quick enough that I don't have to worry. Yesterday I panicked a little bit because my first customer walked up with $100 bill and was not spending $100, and it threw me because it was like, okay, that's almost half my cash now I'm giving you back. And then I kind of panicked a little I was like, well, there's a time machine. I can go and pull a few 20s and I'll have it. I would say your first show, I would say take a couple hundred if you can. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have things where you have to give dollar bills back, always have extra dollar bills. You never know.
Yeah.
5s and 1s.
5s and 1s are the big ones. 20s you don't need a ton of, because most of the time you don't get that big $100, the $50 thing. Mm-hmm. I get more $20 bills handed to me than anything when I go to a show. And then change wise, it's 5s, 10s, and singles.
Nobody cares that you're going to give them 3 5s or 8 1s. Nobody cares.
Nope. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would start maybe your first show just to be on the safe side, going with a 200. And then when you do your totaling, remember, you got to back that out of there for your, your sales and all that at the end. Because there's been a couple times I'm like, I'm 100 over, or I'm 100 this way. And it's like, oh, duh. You got to account for that.
Yeah.
And you're our accountant?
I just thought of another silly question.
There's no silly questions on this.
Like silly answers.
Because we close out shows. We're known to be the ones walking around at 5 o'clock on a Sunday. Deals at the end of shows.
I hate you. The broadcast is now over.
I don't like
I want to walk out as fast as I can.
I don't like making deals. I like people when they make deals with me. But I don't.
You and I would be bestest of friends.
I'm really like the price is there. That's what it is. That's what it costs. But when I go somewhere and somebody says, I'll give you 2 for $10 off, I'm like, yeah, but
that's a tough one. That's an excellent question, because you have to come up with in your mind, what are you going to do about somebody that comes through and says, how did this go over at the last show? This is a $400 gecko. I'll give you $300.
No, he started out with.
Nope.
He started out.
You're right. It was.
He started out with a larger
right?
one, and all he had was 150.
Yeah,
nope.
I only have 150.
He goes, "That's all I got is $150." I'm like, okay. And so I looked at Wally, and I'm like, he wants this for 150, and he's like, yeah, I don't think so.
So I'm never ever going to say, hey, dude, come on, really? I'm going to say, I do the Rick from Pawn Stars, $400. All I've got is 150. I can do 350 for this animal. I'm not offending the person. He's not offending me. If he walks away saying, all I've got is $100, I can take 350. I really can't go any lower. But the problem is, in your mind, you have to kind of set that boundary up front. Very, very, very few times when I kind of start working a deal, do I not know what I eventually want to do and have thought about it before. I'm not going to come down 50% for any of our animals. It's just too much time behind. I'm not going to come down 60, probably not going to come up down 70%. What I will do, though, is I want this animal, I want this male, and I want 2 females. And it comes out to $500. Will you take $350? I tell you what, I'll take $500, but I'll throw in another female for you.
Okay.
So you have to kind of play that a little. It doesn't come up that often. What will kind of come up more often is somebody will be looking at an animal and it's $50, let's say, and they're really struggling, and I've got 3 seconds before they walk, because they have that look in their eye like, I don't know if I really want to buy this. Maybe I don't want dart frogs. Maybe I want, whatever. Maybe I want an iguana. And 3, 2, what do I do? What do you do? What do you do with that? Do you say, hey, I'll drop that price for $40? Well, now you kind of sound, well, why didn't you just sell it for $40? Now you kind of sound a little cheap, maybe. So you have to kind of play that too. And you have to keep them at the table thinking it. Are you good with the setup? Are you ready to, bring this animal in? Just keep the conversation rolling. Keep it going. But eventually you're going to tell that they also are getting kind of like, I don't want to talk anymore. I just want to get out of here, and just, let them go. But at some point you're going to realize, you're going to see it in their eye that they're ready to buy, but they're not ready to buy at that price. And you're going to have to figure out a way that you feel comfortable with presenting them with, here's another option for you, so you don't walk away not buying anything.
You know what we do? It just occurred to me as you were saying that, when you were saying about like the thing that you say. So we had assignments when we were in the docent program where we had to come up with like that really fun, silly fact about an animal, or something really cool that people might not know about an animal, so that we could hook them in.
Yes.
Get them to talk about it. So about the Bolivari, these guys turn different colors to yellow when they're happy. Right?
Not many people are breeding the Bolivari. You would be, if you bred these, you're going to be way up. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually the wombat, we would like, it would be like, do you know that these guys poop in squares? All you have to do is talk about poop and like all the but also and this was a fun score. Do you know who Lucas is on YouTube? He's like, I think he's like 8 years old, and he breeds mantises, and he's got like Luke's Bug Adventures, or he's adorable. Do you ever watch Snake Discovery?
Yeah.
Okay, he was in the enclosure build off just recently.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
Here we are. Here's Lucas's booth. So I was at Reptile Super Show, and I ran into him, and I said, "Lucas, we're going to be right next to each other." We were like fist bump, so
outstanding.
We're gonna ride on his celebrity.
That'll work. A side note: the guy that haggled him at the 150 ended up walking away from our table with 2 geckos in the end for close to 500. All of a sudden, he had money.
Oh, yeah.
He walked out. He went to the time machine. He came back, and he's like, "Here you go." And it was just hysterical. I looked at Wally, and I'm like, "He had $150. How'd this work?"
Yeah.
But he also had a kid with him, and the kid kept going, "I want this gecko, Dad." And
that'll do it.
He was trying to make us feel bad because the kid was there.
Oh yeah.
The dad wasn't, and the kid had already pointed out they had looked at many geckos and they were cheaper elsewhere, and he should have bought them already, and blah blah blah. But it was funny.
But during that conversation, at no time did I look down at the kid like, "Yeah, you keep going and get your dad." It was me and the dad, and I'm not going to let him feel embarrassed because his child is saying something maybe that they shouldn't be saying.
Yeah,
him and I, and we were on equal terms, and all that we're doing here, buddy. All that we're doing is playing this dollar game. And it doesn't matter who wins, or let's just make it so that we both feel comfortable at the end with this whole thing. So
you frustrated me really bad. I walked away. I couldn't handle it. You did a really good job.
That whole thing never bothers me, because if they walk away, then they're probably not ready to buy anyways. And if they're setting a price, then my job is to come up with in my mind, my fair price. And for me, I came down, I think in that first deal, I came down $50, and I wasn't going to budge. That was fair for me, and I just wasn't going to come down anymore. And I think 3 times, kind of played that, I'll do this. And eventually it was, come on, I came up, you've got to come up. I can go down to 350, and that's what I feel comfortable with. And you just have to stick with it.
And at the end of the show, if you find that you want to get rid of some stuff and you want to move it, mark it down an hour before. We've done that on Sundays when we've done a double day show. And, we've looked at stuff and we've gone, oh, let's just drop this tomorrow and it'll be kind of a special and whatever happens, happens.
But there you have to be careful too, because there's many times where I've seen people at the end of the show, they're doing the walk. I want this animal, I want this animal, I want this animal, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to buy those animals. So if I've seen them, or if I think that they've already been to the table and they're a active buyer, I'm not going to come down. We're going to sell that animal. But if somebody's just kind of casually walking up at the end of the show and, oh my gosh, I don't want to carry home 40 leopard geckos and put them away.
Right.
I've got to get rid of leopard geckos. They'll come by and pick up a leopard gecko. I might do hey, I tell you what, we're running a special right now. Buy a leopard gecko, I'll give you a second one free.
Yeah.
The other thing too is watch for stores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Watch for stores too. We've got a couple of guys here that have small stores, and the one guy will come over almost every show at the end. He's like, okay, what do you have left in your isopods?
Oh, yeah.
And he'll just like gather what he wants. And then it's like, okay, Wally, work this out with him. And he'll take a whole bunch off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how much, let me see, how many other questions? I'm sorry, I don't want to keep you too long.
You're fine. I'm kidding. I was done with my homework already, so I'm good.
Yeah. So for example, like something that you might have a high number of, let's say dairy cows.
Yeah, let's say dairy
cows. Do you bring them in different sizes? Do you have surplus in case the warehouse people?
Excellent. Well, that end question, I'm sorry, we were kind of answering before you even finished. My apologies. We don't bring variants of the animals because we just want somebody to come in. It's like them buying a candy bar. I can talk about Snickers being better than Reese's, and eventually they'll buy the Snickers. Or maybe they like Reese's and they'll buy the Reese's. I don't want, here's the king size Reese's peanut. You like me? So I don't want, the king size and the regular size, and here's the Halloween fun bites. And but if that is a niche that you can fill where nobody else in the whole show is doing that, then do that. I don't think for dairy cows that's going to work though.
Yeah, that may be an LA show thing, because we usually get 6 count, 10 count, 40 count. Like, we'll see like the little tiny tubs. Then we see people with like the super illegal ones that they go, I got isopods. They go down under the table and they come up with the big box. Yeah, you're like, wow, I'm not paying $500 for an isopod. Yeah, that's interesting. That one I'm going to have to think about.
We'd start them out with 10 counts with everything, and it normally is 12 to 13 by the time we get done.
Did you say that you see them more often in 8 counts?
No. We see like 6 counts, 10 or 12, and then sometimes like 30, 40, something like that. I hate 6 count because it's, for the most part, unless it's a dairy cow or a pruinosis, you're just setting them up to fail.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as counts, I guess for us, what we might do eventually is, and we're always kind of playing with things and thinking about things, we might eventually do, here's your standard 10 count, but here's 100. And then we have 2 containers of 100 counts. If you're really looking to get into these, and this is going to be something that you're going to feed your bearded dragons or whatever, start with 100 count. Here's 100 count for maybe 3 times the price of a 10 count.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to bring them. Like, I'm thinking things like Gestroy I have a lot of right now. And those aren't, to me, always easier because the yellow isn't all that bright on the younger ones. And so you don't really get that. Remember, we were looking at them the other day and you kept going, wow, like every time we saw the adult. But the young ones, not so much. So it would be nice to give them in a larger group, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or again, Nanette's suggestion earlier of that flip book where they just
Oh,
turn a page and
that idea, Nanette. I love that idea.
Yeah.
one thing that we played with, and I never got it to work from a technology standpoint, was you could also bring a Chromebook or a small laptop or a notepad or something like that and have, some kind of a slideshow going of all of these. The problem there is somebody's going to ask for, what do dairy cows look like? And as you look at the notepad, the dairy cows just leaves the screen and you have 28 other isopods that you have to wait for.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea of the flip book.
Yeah.
And that's easy enough to do. It's cheap enough.
Yeah.
You get an A+ for that suggestion. That's a really
thank
good
you.
suggestion.
Thank you.
Well, Lisa and I are kind of dollar store girls. Home goods, actually, home goods. Do you have home goods out there?
We do, but not close to us.
Oh,
I think there's one like 40 minutes away is the
I get so many bargains there.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If it's functional and it's cheap but it doesn't look cheap, I'm all for it. The only thing is sometimes at a show you don't want to, like the black bins that Nanette was talking about before, that eventually as we grew and grew, that looked a little cheap to have these little bins on the table. It started
to, but it was also hard because we had to have so many at that point because we had all the different flavors, and you don't want your table just to be a bunch of bins either. I like to stack and move, and I like height.
So this isn't necessarily like a reptile show question, but I'm just curious. Do you ever vend at things that aren't strictly reptile shows?
Good question. We did one time. We did that show in Milwaukee. I remember
the bird show.
It was kind of a bird show. It was a bird show that was then they were going to do a big series of bird show and reptile show. And it never really took off, and it was a disaster. It was a flippin' disaster. It was probably the only show that we didn't sell any animals. I'll say that.
That was the second show.
Maybe the second? Okay.
Yeah, because we both went to two different ones and didn't sell things one year.
That's true. But this show was just literally like somebody threw it together, and
it was like a flea market-y look. And not that that's bad if that's what you're looking for, but that's not. And we expected people to look at, and they'd walk by and go, "Oh, I don't want that," and they just keep going. Reptile, a reptile. I don't want that, and it never took off.
But on that point though, I would say maybe Zig once in a while we bring fish to reptile shows when we can. There's one show that doesn't allow it, and I'm all for that. If they want to keep it all reptiles, that's cool. But we brought fish this last show, and we sold $50 in just little bags of albino guppies. So that was a nice little plus, and it didn't really cost us anything because I have a 5-gallon tank of breeding guppies, and I just scooped a few bags out and had them on the table. $50 gone.
Nice.
So zig a little bit and have your, this is who we are. We sell the best green dart frogs around, but we also have this food, and we also carry some isopods. And now you have not just reliance on, your specialty. God, if we relied on us selling, what we kind of are is not a high end crested gecko, but a medium kind of crested gecko breeder. If we relied 100% on that for every single show, we would drown many shows because there's 40 tables and 38 of them are crested gecko breeders.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
If we were strictly isopods, we would have. Yesterday, we didn't sell as many because there were 5 other isopod people at the same show.
Or more.
Or more. There could have been more. I mean, there were 5 big groups there. So I was like, I didn't sell as much as I didn't even sell a springtail yesterday. And I'm like, what? But he's like, so many other people around. So that was, you just gotta watch that too. But we haven't done any. There's not a lot of other shows around the area that
there probably are, but for reptiles and isopods, it's a pretty specific niche. We're not going to go to a craft fair, obviously, or a baseball card show or something like that. We'd have to find the right kind of maybe a aquarium supply show or something
trade
like that.
Show or something.
Yeah.
One thing I just thought of, and I don't know what triggered me to remember this, but if you have somebody come up, and we had it happen yesterday, and we've had it happen in the past too, where they start talking to you, and this girl was like all excited. She's a science teacher. She was all over it. And she's like, I'd really like to do this. I have this in my classroom. I have this in my classroom. And I think I'm going to get these for my tank, for my bioactive, but I want to get dairy cows because I want the kids to see dairy cows, and I want to have them see the process of them breeding and having more and, you know, whatever. And so I was like, okay. So when she started looking at stuff and she was looking at some crusteds and stuff, I walked over to Wally and I just nonchalantly said, teacher. And he's like, okay. So when she got done and she was ready to purchase, she came over and he's like, Nanette, do this, this, and this. And I was like, okay. And so then I said to her, I'm not charging her for the dairy cows. She bought a setup that I had. And I said, you're a teacher, we'll donate this to you. So if you ever have that option where somebody says that, especially in the education end, it's just kind of a nice little perk. We've had a couple private schools contact us in the area and just gone, we're kind of looking for a crested for my classroom. We'll go and get the cage, what kind of pricing. And we've donated the animal. And that teacher ended up with 2 of them, and she had a male and a female, and they were breeding for her. And it was just really cool because it was like her 3rd grade class, and then the 4th graders came back to see what was happening because the animals were bigger, and it was a really good experience. So if you can, you know, if that comes up,
to do that, yeah.
A discount or a donation to them is kind of a nice perk. You don't have to give it all to them, but she was all excited because we gave her the dairy cows and I gave her some food to go with it, and she was all over it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just because we're like right in the thick of it, so we're building labels for products. So many questions. And what do we have right now is basically like what it is, maybe the ingredients in it, maybe, and then a QR code that takes them to like a page where all the care sheets are, so they can kind of pick their care sheet on it.
Okay.
I'm struggling with, you know, should it have more? Let's say if you go to Josh's Frogs and you buy some springtails and you look at the label, it'll say springtails are a wonderful addition to your bioactive vivarium, blah, 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 blah. You know, I think someone who's coming to a reptile show is more in tune with what a springtail is and what they're used for. I'm not sure if all of that is necessary on the label. But I guess there are people that would walk up and go, I don't know what this is. You know, why is it a barcode?
That's when you get the chance to talk to them about what it is and you get to show your passion, I think. Okay. We have the name of the animal on the container. That is it.
Yeah.
Our cresteds, we have the name, you know, we'll have the number, the name of whatever it is. If it's a red Harley or whatever, we'll have a parent number so that if they want to see pictures of a parent, they can email us. And our website is on there. That is it. Isopods, all it has on top is Punta Cana, you know, whatever the you know, the whole official name, done. And that's it. It just gives you more time to talk to them. And sometimes you get more sales out of that. And you can educate them at that point. If you just give them something where they're going to go, a lot of them are going to say, okay, I'll look at it later. They never, ever look at it. Right. So now they don't have the knowledge how to take care of what you just gave them because they don't remember to go and look, or they're too, you know, they just don't.
Right.
So it just gives you more opportunity to share your passion and to educate people. I think that's my thought.
I think you're going to have 3 different, and this, you alluded to this earlier. You have 3 different people stopping by your table to either buy or inquire or just look at. You have the experience. I have a dart frog tank. I need springtails. How much are your springtails?
Right.
Here's springtails. They're $10. Thank you very much. Here's a $10 bill. I think you have on the other side people that what is a springtail? So there's your opportunity to kind of educate and advance them without getting really into the details of there's 48 different species of springtails. Right. There's pink ones, which are.
Oh my God. Somebody was trying to charge me $50 for like 20 pink springtails at Super Show. I was like, no.
We did a sign, and I think this is really a good idea. One of my 3 good ideas in the last 10 years. But we did a sign, and it says, "Are you bioactive?" and we put it by the isopods and the springtails and the dwarf whites.
Oh.
And it's as simple as, what do you mean bioactive? What do you mean?
Right.
Or it says to that middle person that's knowledgeable, but they don't have the high level of knowledge that you have, but they have an interest in buying, but they're not sure. So are you bioactive? Oh, I remember that word bioactive. It means cleanup crew. It means that helps clean my tanks. And are you bioactive? Oh, what do you have that makes you bioactive? And then you can start talking through that. So I think you want to kind of cover at least that middle person, the first person they're going to buy, and it's all price motivated at that point. That third person, the interest, and that's cool, but I'm looking for a bearded dragon. So at least start that conversation with maybe a sign that says, isopods arid, isopods tropical, and then you can separate your isopods, on two different sides. So at least it starts I have a snake. What kind of Well, here are the arid isopods. You can start, and we can talk through powder oranges. And does that make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're trying to do some things that are kind of interactive, kind of sort of. Like the one extra thing that we're doing, but now that I'm listening to Nanette talk about table space, it may not work. Is that my friend that is the animal artist? She does these wildlife pins that I have a bunch of that I used to sell to my docent friends. And I've been trying to get this artist to do more reptiles and amphibians, and she's like, and isopods. I've been begging her, and she's like, no, why would I do that? Nobody would buy my pictures of snakes. And so we're gonna have like a jar that says entry, like, what do you want this artist to do? Put it in the jar, and then I'm gonna deliver it to her and go, Lily.
That's a good idea.
If she's into wildlife art, please look up the name Adeline Robinson. And I think she changed her company name recently. Adeline Robinson. Find her on Instagram, find her on TikTok, find her on Facebook, because she does wildlife art, and she's making bucks. She's making big bucks.
I think I saw her like in one of the NAARBC, am I doing that right? Videos, like when somebody was doing a tour. Hold on one second. I'm just going to show you. So, this is our friend. She's a doggy artist, and she has a book called Doggy Language of all.
Cool.
Where she describes like all different kinds of dog body language. So I convinced her to do these pins. So they're like these enamel.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're really pretty. You can. And she does a lot of these posters that are like parrots of the world, toucans of the world, dogs of Sweden. But I can't talk her into isopods, and I can't talk her into dart frogs. And I feel like if I could get some backup and people interested in it, because one of the things that I want to do down the line is get her to do some isopod art, some isopod whatever, put it on a hat, put it on a shirt, put it on a mug.
Put it in a coloring book.
Put it in a
Coloring book.
Oh, that's
For adults.
No.
yeah.
Coloring book for adults. Oh,
We
yeah.
just bought
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea. Yeah, exactly.
just bought one at a show. What did we buy? Oh, we bought it had geckos and it had some snakes in it. I wasn't excited about that.
And we bought it from
Crystal
Adeline.
We bought it from Adeline, and she had like a little spiral bound coloring book.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
There's a
Oh,
gal
cool.
here that does like keychains and stickers, and her stuff is so cute. It makes you scream
Yeah.
out loud. I don't know her name, but
I
you know
can't
what I'm
remember,
talking
but
about.
I do know exactly
She
what
does
you're
these
talking
little
about.
geckos, and
Yeah.
her booth is always super active. She wasn't at the last Super Show though. And I would love to have something like that because it's just so cute.
Faith had mentioned.
Yeah.
Faith had mentioned in one of her comments on Facebook a while back, she now has a section on her table where she's got coloring sheets of different
that's right.
different geckos or different isopods and different for the kids to take it when they're walking past.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
yeah,
She just photocopies them and just gives them to the kids.
I have. Remember, I said I have things that people can steal.
Yeah.
In addition to candy, so at Dollar King,
Oh, perfect.
little dart frogs.
Yeah.
Oh.
All different colors, so that if a kid's interested when they go by the table. I think I got like 20 of them for $1.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna say, you take that. You take that dart frog.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Get one for you.
Nice. I like that. So if you have that special green frog, you want them all to be that special green frog, so that everybody wants a special green frog. I'm going to tell the story real quick. I follow a guy, not because I have fish, but he's a fish breeder, and he started a store, and now he has an online business. He recently did a show, Aquashella, which is a big...
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's a big show. He walked into Aquashella with, I don't even know how many T-shirts, thousands. And he was giving away
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I think he spent $20,000 on shirts.
Oh.
He handed out shirts. So the takeaway from everybody wasn't, oh my gosh, you spent so much and you were giving them free and T-shirts are nice and cool. The takeaway was everybody at that flippin' show had a Aquarium Co-op T-shirt on. Every single person. How valuable is that advertising? So, the coloring sheet and kids walking around in a Supreme Gecko little logo in the corner.
Put your website on it or something. Yep.
That's such a good idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I could have Lily just bombard people with gorgeous little green frogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're so cute.
What was it?
I just love my frogs.
It just made me think. I was thinking.
I don't know, Andrew, if you heard that story or not, but that fascinates me, the whole marketing side. And he's a big company. They're selling millions and millions of dollars. Supreme Gecko's not going to walk into a NARBC and give away, 10,000 T-shirts, but I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, when State Discovery gives away all those pins, I'm like, how much do those pins cost? They give away like 50 limited edition, but it's such a good marketing tool.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Our last show, 2 shows ago, Crystal went with us, and she was hanging out with a little girl next to us, and we know the people really well. Well, during the show, I handed the little girl I gave Crystal a T-shirt that was ours. I said, have her put it on. She can have one too. And so they started then walking around looking at stuff, and I'm like, oh, Wally's like, that is like the best advertising in the world. These 2 girls, and they just ran around with the T-shirt on the whole time. It was funny.
Yep.
So it was good. There was something I was going to ask you.
You think about that. You guys have more questions, general, specific questions?
I don't know. I can't really think of anything at the moment. So I think we covered a lot.
Talking about, there's so much to know.
And I think that we're just not going to know until we know.
Right.
Get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to do what we said. Don't feel like you have to do all of those things the first time around. Do some of it and build it as you're going. Don't overwhelm yourself for the next 4 days trying to create all this stuff.
Oh no, it's created. I'm done. No more.
Yeah. I mean, don't try to overdo stuff.
Don't
really
overthink
quick.
it.
Don't overthink it.
I think the most important thing that you can do with this show is to do the show the way that you want to do it, and add some things. Maybe you had some notes from tonight, and change, add, whatever. And some of those things you're going to walk away from and go, Wally and Nanette are just full of crap. They don't know what they're talking about, because that did not work. What they said did not work at all. But the most important thing, obviously, the point that I keep stressing over and over again is walk away from that show, get in the car, and don't look at your money. Keep your money in your pocket and say, okay, where do we need and together, what do we need to do the next show? And if it's improvements, we did this and it worked really good, but we need to add this part of it. Or if it was Wally and Nanette said to do this and it failed and that sucked and we need to do this differently, then that's what you do. But walk away from that show and plan for the next show and improve. Have your improvements for that next show. That half hour that you're driving home, or that hour that you're driving home, is golden time to improve for the next show.
Sleep through that time.
My eyes are closed. I'm thinking of different.
You get in the car and you're gone. Not always. Exactly. Like, it's nap time. If you have a limited amount of business cards, don't put them all out on the table. Just put a few. Kids are notorious for collecting them.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll just walk up and take a handful and walk away. Stickers are a huge thing, and we just haven't gone there yet. It's crazy. Everybody wants a sticker, and everybody's handing us it. I'm like, what do I do with all these stickers all the time? So the kids love them, though. Eventually we'll get there. But
they're a big deal now. I don't know. I don't know why either, but I will capitalize on that when I get the opportunity with my friend.
We have so many stickers, and the only one that I cherish is the DEA exotic sticker that I have right next to my heart.
I mean, honestly, I just having the push pin idea taped to something like is revolutionary, right? Like that could be a game changer if you forget to punch something. Yeah.
Lots of little stuff. Yeah.
You do know the old joke, right? Do you have the tickets, honey? They're on the table. Did you bring the table?
Outstanding.
It's my dad's joke.
It's in the box.
It's in the box.
What's in the box?
You have to do the hand
now
thing
I want to
too,
watch this.
It's in the box.
Don't listen to him.
Delivery haunts him for the rest of his life.
Brilliant scene.
I love that. That's one of my favorite ones.
It is. That's one of the movies that I'll watch from beginning to if it's on that and The Godfather and maybe not Blindside. That's yours. A Knight's Tale. A Knight's Tale is another one of my favorites. I'll put the remote down. That's probably the only 3 movies that I'll do that with.
Yeah, I am like, I'll show my age, but I am still fascinated with all of the 70s horror films. I don't like today's horror films. I don't like to jump and be surprised. I like to be creeped out.
I prefer neither one.
Omen, right? Omen.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those are
Close
all good
Encounters.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of 70s cinema. I think.
Yeah.
Classic. That's where I grew up. So I'm a big Animal House person. So it influenced my whole life.
That's what
I don't know if you want to brag about that one.
No, probably not.
Oh, we have so much to think about now.
Got things to do.
Well, kind of talk about it. We're obviously online. There's plenty of time between now and the show. Shoot me an email and we'll see if we can help more.
Okay. All right.
Oh, God, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Our
Good
pleasure.
luck. Can't wait to hear how it goes.
Absolutely. Send pictures after the show. I want to see your table.
Good night, Andrew.
See you guys. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Bye, Jennifer. Bye, Lisa.
Bye.